The Outsider is a philosophical novella by Albert Camus. I've won points in trivia for identifying its famous first two lines, which are, "Mother died today," or maybe yesterday, I don't know. This is the story of this young man Marceau who becomes increasingly alienated after the death of his mother. This story is not about loneliness, but it's about not caring, so it's closer to Bret Easton Ellis's American Psycho than it is to J.D. Salinger's The Catcher in the Rye. It's a quick and easy read, less than 150 pages, but it's hard to understand and easily misinterpreted. It's best read by adults, and I'm surprised it was never banned. This story is the most widely misinterpreted and underappreciated story I know of, and I think it's very current to our time. I think The Outsider is commonly misinterpreted as it's the only book of existential philosophy most people read, and so most people see it at the surface level as more of a novel rather than a philosophical argument. And if you read Camus' formally stated opinions on pacifism, which are found in the newspaper he launched during World War II to kind of promote the lack of violence, you'll see that this book contrasts heavily with that, so it's not to be seen at its surface level. Most people brush this off as a book about someone becoming alienated, and that was the story, and somehow that's just what they take away from it. More thoughtful reviewers think that Camus is suggesting that we live like Marceau, that in response to a meaningless world we revolt by being apathetic and unpredictable, and absurdity is the way of living. But I think through wider reading that Camus is proposing the opposite, that this book is instead proposing that we learn to love. It's our responsibility to care and to find love and to be good. This book is proposing what happens when we don't love. I think this book should be read as a dystopian novel. I think we should see Marceau as a villain, not as an anti-hero, in spite of all the popular reviews that would say otherwise. I think this book is a lesson on how not to live. And for that reason, I think it's a very important read, and I think most people should read this book. If you're going to read this, I encourage you to read it as a dystopian novel, and I think you'll find much more meaning in it. A lot of people find the sociopathic nature of Marceau to be unappealing to read. This book is definitely worth reading in your lifetime. I give it a 4-star. I love the book, but I don't think I could recommend it to everyone, given that it's got heavy themes, and I think it will be best understood by people who are adults and going through a hard time. For a more in-depth analysis of this book, including spoilers, see my Goodreads review. Happy reading.